Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We got lots of people here already.
Oh, wow.
To chat about Annie song, which I don't know if you have this copy. It's super, super pretty.
I had it, and I don't know where it is. I truly do not. I was like scouring? Is that a word? I was looking on the bookshelves, and I couldn't find it. I have no idea where it was.
My gosh. Apple pie sounds yummy. I just saw that.
Ooh.
Oh, quiche. I love quiche with my whole chest. Like, that is one of my favorite foods.
Oh, okay. It's Father's Day and your mom's birthday. Okay.
Oh. And Juneteenth. Wow, that's a busy day.
Oh, yeah, because that is tomorrow. Because I keep on thinking it's Monday because everybody has work off Monday.
Yeah, because it's an observed holiday. Technically, it falls on Father's Day this year. So happy Juneteenth and Father's Day tomorrow.
We'll go ahead, and Annie is coming. She's just a little late. We'll talk about what we are currently reading right now. Sam, are you currently reading anything with your busy schedule?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be really confusing.
Sorry.
I got it.
I'm reading Sorted by Nikki Sloan. It's like a dark romance book.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I'm liking it so far.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, I love Nikki Sloan, but I haven't heard of that one either.
I got it from Nikki and Bookland. Her and McKay did that Morley Gray characters. So,
yes.
Cool. I'm reading. I just finished Annie's song, like the audiobook today, but before that, I was reading Ivan by Sophie Lark. I'm like going through her entire backlist right now, so I'm almost back into her Kingmaker series. So yeah, I'm reading that one, and I love it. It's great. It's fun. I think I've given all of her books 5 stars except The Air. I didn't like that one.
I love The Air. You liked it though. Like you were entertained by it.
I was entertained, but I was like stressed. It gave me actual anxiety. Like it was stressed me out. But Miles' story, the next book in the Kingsmaker series, Jess, you're gonna love that one. That one destroyed me.
You already read it?
Yeah, Jen said that I could read that one and then jump into Ivan and Snow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she said to read Ivan and Snow before before Dean's story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I love it. I take back everything I ever said about Mafia romances. Hi,
Hello. Welcome. We're just chatting about what we are currently reading right now.
Okay. What a cute shirt. I love that color.
Oh, thank you. I got it from TJ Maxx.
Oh, I love
it. Sorry.
You want to pick up and say what you're reading right now?
Oh, yeah. I'm reading Everything for You by Chloe Elise. It's the 5th Bergman Brother series. I've already read it once, but the audiobook came through the library, and I was just like, I mean, why not? And I have a live show with my friend Jackie and we like talk about it through Instagram. I actually saw her today because we went to CordyCon together, which is fun.
That's fun.
Yeah. So.
Somebody's reading Again the Magic. I'm sorry for you.
I'll be right back. Continue talking.
Okay. V's reading Again the Magic.
It's still on my TBR. I know that everyone.
Annie. When you read it, I need you to message me promptly. Like
I'm really excited to read it. I don't think my library has an audiobook for it. And a lot of times if there isn't an audiobook, it just takes me longer to get through a book. And so that's part of the reason is like if there was an audiobook, I probably would have already listened to it like months and months ago. But
yeah, I don't think I listened to the audiobook. I think I don't think there is. I read it physically, but it was my favorite book ever. So
yeah. Well, it seems like they're redoing a bunch of Lisa Kleypas's books in audio form, though they're like changing them, which is not great.
I think it started with her taking out like problematic elements, which is fine, but then she started taking out like pieces of the story, which is just weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, the first time that I read it was for the Wallflower book because she took out the prologue, and I didn't realize that she had taken out the prologue because when I had read it, and this was like the audiobook or the ebook as well. Like I had gotten the ebook from the library, and I didn't realize that there was a prologue that was missing until people started talking about it in the Discord, because I was reading it for the Winter of the Wallflowers with Seasonally Booked Up, and they were talking about how the prologue is missing, and I went back and read it and I was like, oh, that actually makes more sense for the story, because like you kind of, if you don't have the prologue, then you just kind of have the two of them starting off on kind of a weird foot, and you're like, why? You know?
No, I agree. I think they changed that one the most, which doesn't make much sense, but whatever. I read most of them physically, so I got to see the whole story.
Yeah.
Jess, what are you reading? Or did you say?
I'm reading Falling Embers by Catherine Cowles currently, because I just finished. I literally started this morning, and just that's all I listened to like all morning. And so I'm excited to see what you guys think of the book. Go ahead and let us know in the comments what you rated.
Yes, let us know.
Because I feel like we're gonna have a lot of different opinions, because I already know we do when we were chatting before we came on. So we can start by saying our ratings.
Go ahead, Jess. Start us off.
I'm giving it 3.5 stars. When I finished, I was kind of like more on the 4-star, but then I read reviews and I was like, yeah, I see that now, and it's kind of weird, which I'll get to. So 3.5. Oh yeah, we have okay. lots of different ones. Sam?
I gave it 4 stars.
Cool. I also finished the audiobook today, as I do with all our book club picks, and I gave it 1 star, and a very low 1 star, like just because I had to rate it. Like it's barely hanging on there.
Yeah, if I was not the guest, I probably would have DNF'd it. Because I don't love a rape on page,
Right.
like in general. But I did enjoy the hero, and like I enjoyed their, dynamic, but it's probably like a 3-star, like a generous 3-star.
I love everybody's varied ratings. We have 5 stars and we have 4 stars.
All over the place, yes. I mean, like, have you guys read the Maya Banks? This reminded me a lot of it, but like Maya Banks did it better.
Never Water or something? The purple book, right?
Yeah. Yes. Because it's the same exact thing where she gets sick, she loses her hearing, and everybody thinks like she's daft, what their verbiage for that. Right. And she's actually just deaf, but she's letting them think that. And so then she's married off to a Highland laird, and he quickly realizes, oh, she's actually really smart. She's just deaf, and she reads my lips. She knows how to communicate, stuff like that. But I feel like that was done so much better than Annie's song was, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody else has read it. But I think it went on a little too long with her innocence.
Yes, that was what drove me absolute bonkers.
And that's what I thought.
I could move on from the assault and like the prologue because it technically wasn't with our hero. Like we could move on from that. But it was the fact, like the entire time the author took great lengths to describe her as like childlike. And then the hero was like wanting to sleep with her at every turn. It was just, it felt very yuck to me. I don't know. And like, I just felt like there was really no consent. Like she was not a partner in this relationship. She had no choice but to get married. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah. I forgot that I had read Catherine Anderson in high school. Like she was a romance writer that I read a bunch of in high school, and I kind of blocked it from my memory because she wrote another book, and I remember I looked it up and I don't remember the name of it, where one of her heroines had brain damage, and she's like mentally disabled. And I remember reading it and thinking like, and this was when I was like 15, 16. And I remember thinking like, this is a weird story and I don't like it. And I remember just being all, because what I used to do when I was in high school is I used to just find an author that I liked and I would read every book that they had available and I would just like read their entire backlist. And that was because I didn't really like do Goodreads. I didn't really do like Bookstagram. I didn't really have all of it. So I was just like, I just pick up an author and if I like it, then I read everything until I find something that I don't like. And I remember reading that story and thinking, I don't want to read any more of her books. Like, and even as like a 15-year-old being all like, because I remember thinking like, oh, this book does not feel like she really can like make active choices. Like it feels like a lot of the choices that are being made for her are by other people. And I will say that like, I liked the last part of the book after he kind of realizes that she's just deaf and not mentally disabled, and is like at least gives her a little bit more agency and gives her a little bit more freedom.
Right.
I did not love the ending of it in that he like makes the choice for her to go to deaf school and doesn't really go and give her the option and give her the choice of like what she wants. And then like only after he's like miserable and missing her that he then like actually listens to her when she's just like, I wanted to stay, I wanted to be here, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like the romance that he had, the love he had for her was believable in the sense that, you could see him falling for her. He did have sweet moments, but I just didn't believe that she ever loved him because she had no choice in marrying him. There was no consent. And then like, did she grow fondness to him or was he like the only person that ever showed her kindness? You know what I mean? So the love for like she had for him was not believable. And then the love that he had for her was just it because how old was she? Did they ever say in this book? Because I'm imagining her like
18.
Okay. I'm imagining like
20.
17, 18.
Was she 20?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she was 20.
I thought she was like 18, 19.
They described her like she was like 12, which was so bizarre to me.
Well, they did talk about how she didn't understand anything beyond when she had her hearing. So he even talked about like modesty. Like she didn't understand being modest like as a woman because she never learned that. And I was like, okay, this is again showing the very naive and innocent part of her. But someone had said like at some points she was very intelligent and understood a lot, but then in other parts it was like she feels like she's like 8. So that was definitely a weird balance between them.
Yeah, I think Justin said that, and I totally agree. That was what threw me off. It's bizarre because the actual trigger warning, like the sexual assault in the first or prologue, that's not even what like threw me off. It was just a description of her being so childlike. I feel like there was very little character development for either of them.
I think that I probably would have liked it more if she had like in her inner monologues she had a little bit more like intelligence. And I think part of the reason why was because they didn't like it. I think that Catherine Anderson didn't want to like show the hand that she was actually very smart too early, but it did give a kind of weird vibe at the beginning of the romance where you're just like, I'm reading a romance novel and the person that I'm reading it with does not seem like she's that intelligent. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One reason why I feel like I did enjoy it was because I kept on thinking, okay, this is the late 1800s. Like you have to keep in mind like the time period that they're in. Because I know Samantha, you said the parents made you so angry, but I think the author showed the parents were actually not really, but kind of doing better than what other parents would have done. Because other parents would have just shipped her off immediately. So I'm like, no, you are not acceptable in society. We're just like completely getting rid of you. They kept her because they loved her, but then the mother still put herself first when she was like, I didn't want to look into anything she was capable of because of the repercussions on my husband's career. So I thought that was really interesting to read about, though, like how that affects people in society at that time, how they treated her and why. which
Yeah.
reminded me of Flowers
From
from
the
the Storm. Yes.
yeah, Laura Kinsey. Which
Yeah.
I love that book. Oh my god, I love that book so much.
Yeah.
The concept I feel like is good and it's unique and it is, I feel like she was trying to do a lot in this book. It didn't hit for me personally, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Everyone's talking about the egg.
I'm getting to that. I have to go back to these. Okay, and I do like when the brother came back and he gave his brother money, that did make me mad.
I was like, I want him dead. I want him slaughtered. Like, I was mad at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is the part where I was like, she truly has no idea what's going on. Like, I felt so bad for her.
Is there anything people like actually liked about the book?
Well, no, Sam, you give it a 4 star, so give us what you thought.
I think my internet's messing up. I cannot see you guys. It keeps just like spinning.
Oh,
I can hear you.
We can hear and see you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you and see you.
I see the issues that everyone has, but I liked Annie's journey. I liked how she got more agency. I liked how at the end she, went to school and she got to learn things, actually like be a person. And I really liked how the hero, I don't even remember his name, but I liked how he treated her. He was the first person to really ever show her kindness. And I liked that. I do, however, think if she had chosen to write this book as like not a like spicy romance, I think it would have worked better. Because for me, that's where it kind of fell apart, was how he was thinking about her, especially when she was so childlike. And then the first time that they actually had sex, it kind of made me cringe. So that's what brought it down for me.
I love that, actually. The thought of it being more women's fiction and more focused on her journey. Maybe I would have liked it a little bit more if it was set up that way. Because that is what bothered me, was like, he was basically like saying, oh, she's so childlike, but I'm so attracted to her body. And I'm just like, bro, she was literally
From the beginning, they're just like, but look how curvy and just pretty she is. Doesn't every man want to take her? And I'm like, no.
Yes. And then like, when he asked the doctor, like, if they could have sex, like if it was okay for the baby, I was like, sir, she's literally carrying a child that she got from assault. Like, give it a rest. Give it a rest.
Yeah.
I think that I probably would have enjoyed the sexy parts more if they didn't happen until after he started to get to know her as a person.
Yeah.
And also it's actually kind of interesting because if I remember correctly, some of Catherine Anderson's books were fade to black romances.
Really?
From my time in high school. I just like, again, like last time I read them, I was like 16. So, But if I remember correctly, there were a few that were fade to black. Because I remember when I would read them and thought like, oh, I wish there was more sex in this, because I was, a horny teenager. But yeah, I think actually the mentally disabled heroine one was fade to black, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. I mean, I could see this being very popular when it first came out, because in comparison to other historicals, like other than that Maya Banks one, I can't really think of historicals that kind of have like this type of premise. Like it's very unique for something that was, made in 96, I think is when it was originally made.
Yeah. I remember thinking as I was reading it, because it's long and like the romance really doesn't develop for a very long time. And I was like, is there going to be a romance? Like, this is really reading very fiction, women's fiction, just about her overcoming like her childhood, how she was raised. And then I don't know. Someone said they didn't like the scene where he found her in the attic, but I thought, from what I remember, like that was a really sweet scene, because she was talking and she was having her like tea time, and then they danced together, and that's when he really noticed her having intelligence and like understanding. So
yeah, I feel like that was the switch in his brain, like where he noticed that she was intelligent and not just like childlike.
Yeah, and she came out of her shell.
Yeah, I do like that scene actually. The thing is I didn't mind our hero that much. Like he was sweet in certain parts. I just didn't like the way their romance was set up. Like I feel like they were kind of like doomed from the very beginning. There wasn't like really much redemption.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that there could have been a way that this story was written where I would have really, really liked it and really enjoyed it. And I think the part, and like again, I think the reason why I'm like, oh, I gave it a 3-star was because I liked the end. I liked where Annie developed to and where she ended up. And I think that her journey was a very compelling one. And I think that if the romance had started, because like it was a bit of a slow burn in that like it took a really long time before they even like I think they didn't even kiss until like 3/4 of the way through the book or something like that. But I think that if at first he was just like trying to do what was best for her, and like we didn't get the like whole like, oh, she's got like this gorgeous body, whatever, and it kind of developed the more he got to know her and that kind of thing. I think that I would have really enjoyed this story. And yeah, again, if there was a little bit, especially as he got to know her more, he stopped using terms like childlike and innocent and that kind of thing. And then also like, because again, like I think that the overall premise of the story is very compelling, and the actual lead up to it would have been like, again, I could see a way that I could have really enjoyed this book.
Yeah, I agree.
I just looked this book up, and it's like a twin switching place book, and it's giving me Lorraine Heath vibes, and I'm like, very now.
Oh my gosh, that's fun.
I need to
see. Penny wrote in the 90s, because we were talking about picking our next couple books for the live show, and I thought of Mary Jo Penny.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, the reason I rated it like the 1-star, it might seem a little harsh, but I just feel like a lot of people when they read historicals, like they're like, oh yeah, this was good because like this was in the 90s, and they tend to like overlook the problematic elements. But I'm like, if I read this as a new release, like I don't think people would be as lenient with the readings, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this came out today, I don't feel like we would have the same energy. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, but that's like Judith McNaught books. Those were like best-selling. Everyone was reading them and loving them. And we know how you feel about those.
I feel about those.
Oh, this was really adorable though. Like when he ordered all the instruments for her, and he was like, "Oh, set them up and be quiet so she doesn't hear me, so I can surprise her." Like he was super sweet to her and really wanted to help her as a person too.
Yeah, and I think I in general really love sweet heroes, as I'm sure you all know, because all the time that I come onto your show, I'm just like, oh well, I like a sweeter, softer hero. And like I really liked Alex as a hero. I thought that he was like a very sweet, kind person, and it was so clear that he was doing the best that he could in like kind of a terrible situation. And I love the fact that he got angry when he found out that her father wasn't going to, like, despite the fact that it was his brother, he found out that her father wasn't going to go and like charge Douglas because of the potential scandal. And you know, I like the fact that he got angry and he was just like, this is not right, this is not fair. Like, what about your daughter? What about what she thinks? What about what she feels? And, you know, like when he found out that she was pregnant, he was just like, I will marry her. I will protect her. I will do what is necessary. And he kept, doing what he could to do right by Annie, despite the fact that he wasn't the one who wronged her. And then as he got to know her and care for her, he did all that he could to bring her joy and bring her happiness. And I really, really love that.
I do like Cinderella heroes too. And I mean, he was angry, but I wanted him to be angrier. I wanted Douglas to die. So
right, like why'd he give him money?
Yeah, so I just needed him to be a little angrier, but That's the thing. I did like our hero. He was sweet and he did try his best. There was like parts of the story that I liked. I just didn't like it all together, if that makes sense. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Now that you guys are mentioning it though, like it feel like it was the hero's story. Like we got his perspective the whole time and we never really got to see Annie and understand what was going on in her mind other than she thought she was going to lay an egg, she thought she was getting fat. Like that's all we really knew about her from his perspective.
Yeah.
But like Annie said, I think that was intentional to like not show her hand that she was more intelligent, because then we would have realized she had more intelligence earlier on in the story.
But isn't that, I feel like that's what Maya Banks did though, like from the beginning we knew. And I was fine with that.
I think that would have been helpful.
I don't get the payoff. Like, why keep it a secret from us?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Hopefully. One could dream. Yeah. Watch him get like a freaking redemption arc in one like another book.
Oh, this scene though, isn't this book 2?
Oh.
Kimura Chronicles.
I don't know what book that's from.
I don't know what book that's from either.
I think it is book 2.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he like learns that she's been abused by her uncles, and on their wedding night, he literally just like takes him out for touching her. So, right? Like that's what our hero needed to do to his brother. But
we love to see it. I love that chaotic energy.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I don't necessarily know. Like I'm of the opinion that Douglas should have gotten arrested and prosecuted. I mean, like, I don't know. I in general don't love violence. So
like would he even been arrested at that time period?
Yeah, I mean, maybe if they press charges.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because women didn't really have much agency at that time, so maybe not.
So, like, would anything have even been done if they did charge him?
But Annie, that is a normal response. I'm just chaotic and I'm like, die. Horrible.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, I think because I've been on here twice, and I think both times I complained about the hero, and this is the first time that I've really loved the hero.
He was just very nice.
Yeah. I love a nice hero. I love a kind and gentle hero.
Yes.
I love kind and gentle men. I'm dating them. It's great.
Aww.
Which we normally don't get in old historical romances. So I think that's also why people probably would have liked this at the time period.
I think I can think of like 2 historic romances that have cinnamon roll heroes. Not even 2, just 1. Like, there's not many. They're all alphas, like kings of their time.
Right.
Yeah, and they're not
very fishy.
Mm-hmm.
I love the alpha hero. So
I do.
Give it to me all. I want everything every time.
I can appreciate both. But like I love them alpha more in historical romances and like mafia romances than other romances.
I can't do mafia romances. I've tried. I
said that too. And then Sophie Lark changed my world. She changed it, flipped it upside down. I said that too.
I have yet to meet a mafia romance that I enjoy. Like Chloe Elise's first trilogy features features a mafia prince, and I'm like, I tried to read it and I was not into it.
Yeah, I hated mafia romances. I gave them all very low stars, and literally until I started reading Sophie Lark. See, I feel like they can be alphas during the steamy parts, and then cinnamon roll during like the relationship. That's the hero I want. I'm trying to keep PG.
Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey, because that is exactly what that he's like. He's very steamy and very dirty in the sex scenes, but he's like super nice and super sweet all of the rest of the time. And it's a super short read. We read it for Bailey Blizzard. I, of course, was like one of the few people who really loved it. Like most people liked it okay, but I loved it. It was very much my vibe.
I have it. I just haven't read it. So yeah, maybe I'll read it. I will read that. That sounds like a good time. I don't like the O'Malley series by Katie Roberts. I don't like that one.
No.
No, I don't. Which is shocking because I love Katie Roberts.
Annie, have you read Katie Robert?
I read The Dragon.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I thought it was a lot of fun. I requested the second book from the library whenever it comes out. What is the O'Malley series? Is it a Mafia series?
It's a Mafia series. It's long, like very long. And then she writes a side series of like the kids.
This is so funny. I don't believe a 21-year-old who runs a city.
What?
Wow. I mean, true, but
I didn't like that one. I give it 3 stars.
I don't think I've read that one. I haven't read Window Shopping either.
It's really good. It really helped me get into the Christmas season. It was, I will say, one weird thing about it is that it was set in December of 2020. As I'm sure you know, since we all live, or December of 2021, and as I'm sure you know, because y'all have, experienced it, there was like, part of the problem was that it was very explicit in the year that it said it was, and there were some references to the COVID pandemic, but the main character was in prison when the pandemic started, and there was no reference to like what that was like, what that like brought onto her mental state. And then also because Tessa was writing it in June of 2021 when things were starting to open up, so she had assumed that December was going to be, whatever. But of course 2021, most people like got shut down because of Omicron, and was it Omicron? Maybe it was Delta. But anyway, like things had like shut down, and so all of us had read it last in January, and all of us were talking about it was really hard to strip that context from it, and so a lot of people did not like window shopping for like that reason. So if you know that going in, then like maybe it won't like bother you as much, but it bothered a lot of the SBU crew. They were just like, I don't like the fact that there was no discussion of like the experience of being a felon during a COVID pandemic, because like that was definitely an issue.
And she chose to include the pandemic in her book.
Yeah.
I don't think have I read any that even I've read one.
No, I've never read any. Oh, I read an Omegaverse in the pandemic, but it was like they were video chatting because they couldn't like meet in person.
Okay.
That was it.
I read Witch Please, and there was it was referenced the pandemic was referenced, but it was referenced in the past, and so it seemed like they said it in a time when like all of the pandemic was over, which to me it's kind of funny to think about, because I don't think the pandemic's ever going to be over. Like I think we're always going to have to be like, that COVID.
Courtney Milan. I think Courtney Milan has a couple.
I love Courtney
Milan. He didn't. He's kind of a cinnamon roll.
Yeah. My favorite was the Countess Conspiracy, because I love a good friends to lovers. He is less cinnamon rolly. He's a little bit more alpha, but there's like, it's like a female scientist and her like male best friend who he is also a scientist, and like there's just like it's a very like it's very spicy and very fun and also very sad, and like it's so good. Would highly recommend.
The Duke Who Didn't is a Friends to Lovers as well.
I have it. I found it at Half Price Books, and I was like, well, when a Courtney Milan shows up at Half Price Books, you have to buy it.
Right. Yeah. They're never at Half Price Books. I think this is funny though. This comment.
I don't know.
It's like weird because Grey's Anatomy did that, where like one season was like during COVID, and now they have a note saying this is in a post-pandemic world. So they don't even like discuss COVID anymore. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really read contemporaries that often, so I never came across those type of romances.
Yeah.
I love how we just like derailed the conversation.
I do have a question about the book though. So a lot of people were complaining about her parents, and like how awful they were, but like don't most historical romances just like have awful parents? I feel like it's very rare where they like actually like their parents, because typically they like are just obsessed with getting ahead in society, obsessed with money, obsessed with how they look to society, which is what her mom did. And she's like, well, I don't want it to come out because then he's gonna divorce me or would leave me or whatever. Now what's gonna happen to me? So they are pretty selfish, like wanting the best for their kids.
I mean, I think that has to do with like it's a good storytelling prop, you know, like because if you have like supportive parents who are like, yeah, marry who you want, love who you want, do what you want, like we'll support you, whatever. Like that doesn't really breed a whole lot of like space for interesting dynamics, you know, like marriage of conveniences wouldn't need to happen if, you know, the parents were like very like supportive and were like, yeah, sure, marry who you want, we'll give you the inheritance regardless. Like that's so I think it has more to do with like it's the same reason why all of the YA like adventure-y, whether they sci-fi, fantasy, whatever, all of them have like shitty parents. It's because when you have parents in the way, when you have like a supportive support system, it's really hard to develop a like interesting story. And not that it can't happen, like the Bridgertons, for example, have a really good like supportive parent and that kind of thing, and like and all of that. But even still, like there's still a lot of trauma given the fact that like, you know, and like with Anthony and his father and all of that, despite all of the loving and support and that whatever that they have. So when you have parents that are there supporting, it's just, you know, it's harder to make a compelling story.
Yeah. I like they said, but historicals always have great aunts. We love the spinster aunts. They're always the best. You know what? Okay, a lot of people are saying this is a marriage of convenience. I struggle to call it a marriage of convenience because I'm like, what's convenient about the marriage? Like, they weren't pressing charges against Douglas. Like, they didn't care for her reputation, and he stood to gain nothing from the marriage because his family's reputation was fine. Nobody was coming after them. So I was just like, it's a marriage of guilt, not a marriage. Like, for me, at least.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of to save her family's reputation, because then it would have been like, well, who got Annie pregnant? Mm-hmm. And then like that whole thing would spiral and unravel, and it would show like their past of possibly having. And I'm interested, like, was her and it was the mom's uncle that had a disability? Yeah. Okay. And he was he born that way then, and it wasn't caused by something?
I think so.
Because they asked that question. Yeah. Because then the mom was terrified. It's like, well, Annie could have been born this way, and it's in our DNA, and now they're going to think we're all crazy. And again, they don't know anything about medicine and how genetics work or at all. So that was really sad, though, that they did keep on referencing that uncle. And did they say what had happened to him? Like, did they send him off?
Yeah, I think that he was still around, because if he wasn't, I don't think it would have made such a huge impact on Annie's mom. But I don't know what happened to him. And I will actually push back a little bit, Sam, on the thought that he didn't have anything to gain, because he had the ability to gain a child.
Mm.
He thought he was sterile, and he thought
also very random. How do we know that? Like, just because he's never gotten anyone pregnant?
Yeah, so sometimes, like, if you do not treat certain viral and bacterial infections properly,
like if they have a fever, right?
Yeah, you could actually like become sterile, just because like your body will like shut down functions in order to fight off the infection in any way that it can. And you know, unless you're actively trying to have a kid, a lot of times it's just like, these aren't necessary, goodbye. And so like it's not uncommon for that to be a symptom, and it was obviously a lot more common back then, because, you know, people were didn't know how to treat anything.
The Johanna Lindsay book where like he had like a fever when he was a baby or something, and he was sterile, something like that. I can't remember. Okay, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. He did stand to gain an heir, but I feel like that just makes it worse because of the way that the heir came to be.
Well, wasn't he then going to keep the baby and just like ship Annie off?
Yeah, well, that was
say like, well, we'll say we didn't get along, and you'll go back home, and I'll just keep the baby.
That's awful. That is awful. Okay, so
interesting. They're talking about mumps and how men got mumps and thought they were sterile.
Less medicine, less research. So I guess that was something common back then. I know for sure Johanna Lindsay had a book like that.
I do think this is interesting because this is one of my biggest pet peeves in romances when they think they're sterile and then epilogue, we're pregnant. Like,
yeah,
you can just be unable to have children. That made me so angry when I read that book because the whole time they built up the found family. Like, you don't have to be like born in, you're gonna love each other, and then you just take it all away from us. Oh, I was so mad at the book.
I think I've complained about this book on the last 3 live shows that I've been.
Oh my god. That's me with Judith McNaught. I bring her up in every live show. Every live show.
Yeah, it was just so upsetting. It was so upsetting because they did the work. They did the work to have a found family. And okay, anyway, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, you know, not to say, like, I think that he would have married her regardless of whether or not he could have kids. Like, I think that he would have like wanted to, just because he felt like that was the right thing to do. Given on what we know about him, like, it doesn't seem like that he wouldn't do the right thing, and he felt like that was the right thing. I think the reason why they made him sterile was because if I had to guess, it was like a working backwards type thing, where if there was a concern about this uncle of this being genetic, then there would need to be a reason why he would fight so hard to keep Annie keep Annie's baby despite the fact that her parents didn't want it. And like, him being sterile would have been that reason. And so I wonder if this was like a working backwards type thing, where it's just like, well, she created this thing and she needed a solution for this, and then that was the solution. I don't know.
No, I understand. Lexi says that as someone who doesn't want kids, I hate that in order for couples to have a proper HEA, they have to have a baby. Sometimes you can just let them be. I completely agree. I feel like it's very difficult to find a historical with an epilogue that doesn't have some type of, you know, family at the end, marrying off into the sunset. Contemporaries, you can find loads. Like, I know Sierra Simone has some. I'm trying to think of who else.
This one. But this one's also gay, so.
Oh, Cat's welcome. I was like, I can't see.
Oh, sorry. It's like, it's quite sunny here. It's just not.
I just couldn't see the book for some reason.
Yeah. So no, this one was actually really fun. I really enjoyed it. Would recommend it. And they do have like a found family aspect, but it doesn't really have stuff to do with kids. But again, they're gay. So I think part of it is also the fact that, like, when you don't have access to birth control, you are going to have kids.
Right.
Like, regardless of whether or not you want them, when you don't have access to birth control, no matter how careful you are, you're probably going to end up having kids. And I think that the reason why they end up with like happy ever afters with kids is because it gives kind of this illusion of like, oh, well, they actually really wanted kids and that kind of thing. So that's my guess.
Well, I feel like in historicals, I don't mind it. I love a good epilogue. Okay, I'm a sucker for a good epilogue. And I mean, they needed their heir. You know, like, it wasn't really an option not to have kids during that time period. So,
and like, so Monica said it does happen. Like, people will struggle with fertility. They'll adopt, maybe accept they're not having kids, and then it does happen, which is true. But I feel like this happens more often than not, especially in historicals, and that's why it's frustrating, because then it's like, you just had them going through this journey, especially because I did read one, what was it? I think it was Harper St. George, where is it the Lady Tempson heir? She's infertile, and it was a big point in their relationship where she's like, I don't want him to be stuck with me, and they had to work through that, and they didn't have kids together. So I'm pretty sure, or else I would have been mad at the end of that if that was like a whole thing they had to work through, and she had to like talk to him about it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you guys mentioned that Lisa Kleypas book, because she does the exact same thing in Suddenly You. her standalone romance, the exact same thing. They say that they don't want kids. She gets pregnant and has a miscarriage, and they're like, yeah, we're not having kids. We're not going through that again. And then, like, in the epilogue, they have a kid.
Yeah.
I was like,
So why did they go through all of that?
Yeah.
I have no idea. It was bizarre. It was so bizarre.
I actually I know of one. I think they count as conspiracy. They don't have kids. And it's specifically because she can't have kids. Like she tried to have kids, and her like dead husband, ex-husband, he died. He was so obsessed with getting an heir that he put her at risk. Like her doctor was just like, she cannot try to have any more babies. It will kill her. And her husband was just like, I want an heir regardless. And she like that was actually a huge kind of stumbling block in their relationship, because she's just like, I don't want to have to go through that again. I don't want to have to deal with, like all of the shame and all of that associated with it. And I also don't want to, put my health at risk and all of that. And so it was a huge part of their journey is dealing with that. And so, and they don't have kids at the end. So that one is a historical where, so.
That reminds me of, in The Duke and I, Simon's dad. Like, isn't that why Simon's mom passed away? Is because she miscarried so much and he forced her to continue having kids, and so she ended up dying from it?
Yes, and I feel like there's a couple of historicals that had happened where their mom passed away from childbirth because the dad was pressuring for an heir. It kind of starts with like the crappy parent trauma. Yeah. No, I think there is.
There is one I remember reading where they knew she shouldn't have more kids, but there was not a lot of contraception back then, and so she did get pregnant again, and she wanted to still have the baby, and she did die from it. I remember that being one I read, but they were told like it's too dangerous, but they accidentally got pregnant.
I do think like with Simon's dad, I think they played it up more in the series, but overall, he like she wanted to have kids too. Like there was like a discussion of like how she wanted to be like the perfect duchess, and the perfect duchess has an heir, and like she also wanted to have the heir, just to have the heir. I remember reading it and being like
into having kids.
Yeah. Like I remember reading it and thinking like, this is some bullshit.
Literally. I gave that book 2 stars. I love the show, but I could not stand the book.
I do. So going back to this comment about taking period appropriate precautions, women weren't told a lot about sex back then. So I think that's why we don't see it a lot, but like we only see it with heroines who are going against societal norms, like the Rakes.
Or like a Muslim or something, someone who works in a brothel or something.
Right, or like they're a courtesan, yeah.
But I think it goes hand in hand with them being innocent, them not knowing until their wedding night.
About.
Oh, okay.
Compromising the Duke, yeah.
I really liked that.
I also know that contraceptions weren't necessarily allowed for women who were unmarried. Because the reason why I think that is because of Downton Abbey. Like there was a subplot where the like, oh god, I forget her name. She had dark hair. She was like one of the main daughters. She was really mean. I don't know if you watch Downton Abbey, you know who I'm talking about.
I don't remember her name.
She wanted to have casual sex with someone. But she didn't want to get pregnant, and she was talking with her maid, and her maid at the time was pregnant to one of the, I think he was a butler. No, he was a valet.
Oh,
Mary. Yes, Mary.
I just saw this.
And so she asked Anna, her maid, if she would get contraceptions for her, and so that they could, so she could have casual sex without it being a thing, which is hilarious because I think he ended up dying in her bedroom.
Is that him? Yeah, it was Theo James, right? Like that was like early on in the show.
Yeah. I just remember that she like tried to have like very casual, very like whatever sex, and it ended up being a whole thing because he
Yeah.
died in her bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, the Fated Mates podcast, they're doing their Trailblazer series where they're interviewing authors who were like trailblazers for the romance community. They did an author, and I cannot remember her name. I'm going to have to look at it. And she was like the first author, or what romance community has deemed as the first author to like have contraception, like a condom, like on page. But it was a contemporary book. And when she published that, her publisher was like, "Oh, that's scandalous. You can't put that. Like, nobody wants to read about that." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I think I remember someone talking about that episode.
Yeah, I don't. It was definitely a contemporary book, but I just can't remember the author's name.
Mhm.
Let me see.
Speaking of Trailblazers, are any of you going to the live live Fated Mate podcast at a Polycon?
No, I was kind of confused about that because it's not the superhero episode, is it? Or it is?
I don't know. A bunch of my friends were like, my phone got blown up at 7 a.m, being all like, let's buy tickets. Let's all buy tickets. And I'm like, okay, so buy tickets. So I'm just curious if anyone else.
I saw it, but I didn't look too much into it, but it does sound really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's already sold out if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
well, so they like posted it with this post on superhero romances, so I was very confused.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not like a bunch of historical romance authors, right? I remember looking at the author list.
To be honest, the only reason why I bought tickets was because I wanted to meet all of my friends in real life.
Oh, okay.
That's literally the only reason I'm going to a Polycon.
Yep. I'm like, I have seen your face through my internet. I would like to see it in real life, please.
Oh. Interesting.
Oh.
Theo James is the one that died in there. Oh, yes. I know this. That they weren't allowed to have any. Unless it was the man.
Crazy.
Oh, I didn't know this. Her fantasy, Kristen Ashley's fantasy, had men in charge of contraceptives.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I'm trying to think if I've read a Kristen Ashley book.
I don't think I have.
Yeah.
I don't think I have. I don't read fantasy that often, so.
Yeah.
She's a lot of contemporary, but she has her one like giant fantasy series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read contemporary that often either. Which one was I talking about? I already forgot.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was the one that is the first one to use contraception.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
I didn't read the book, so that could be it.
You just heard about it. Yeah.
I just heard about it. I do love that podcast. I say that all the time, though.
Mm-hmm. I listened to some of the Trailblazer ones of authors I really like, and I listened to the one about like book collecting because I was like, oh, I have to listen to this.
That one was so interesting for sure.
Yeah.
So can I confess something? I've never actually listened to an episode of Fated Mates.
You bought the tickets.
So you're gonna go and watch them film it live.
That is fantastic.
Well, it's because I have so many interests and I'm so busy. As I'm sure some of you have picked up from like the weird shit that I post on my Instagram and the stuff that I talk about. So like if I'm gonna listen to a podcast, I'm gonna like listen to like a weird science podcast or whatever. And so I tend not to read romance or listen to romance podcasts, not because I'm not interested in the stuff, but because like that type of content is already contained in some other way, like whether I'm listening to audiobooks or I'm like consuming it on Instagram and YouTube and that kind of thing. So I already have like a space where that is like taken over. And I imagine that if I added podcast to it, it would just be like a lot.
No, it makes sense. I don't like listening to audiobooks when I'm driving because I feel like I get distracted. So I just listen to audiobooks when I drive. And I have like a bunch of other audio like crime podcasts that I listen to.
Do you listen to my favorite?
Appalling. Like,
do I listen to what?
I'm assuming this is the Kristen Ashley one that she was talking about.
I think so.
Okay, at first I thought it was this one, and I was like, what? But
I don't think.
Yeah.
No, because the one that they did for the Trailblazers, it was like sexy. He was like, "We need this so I can protect you." Like it was sexy.
Yeah. I was asking if you listen to My Favorite Murder.
No, I listened to Dark History by Bailey Sarian. What else do I listen to? Everything I listen to is leaving my brain. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of My Favorite Murder because I find that when I listen to true crime, if I listen to it to something that's a little too serious and like too documentary, I'm just like, ooh, this is giving me nightmares.
I do get nightmares, but I still listen to it. Oh, Murder Made Me Famous. I listened to that one.
Murder Made Me Famous.
It's like the famous like trials, like Melendez brothers and those people, and like how their trial went down. So
okay, actually, I watch more documentaries. So like the Menendez brothers, I watched their documentary.
Oh yeah, that was a good documentary. The like the TV show one.
I don't know. It was a while ago.
Oh, because they did one. It was like through Netflix. It was like 6 episodes, and like they had like actors like acting it out.
Yeah,
I don't remember if that was what I watched.
Have you watched the John Wayne Gacy one yet?
No.
I started it and then Toy left for work and I had to stop because I was getting scared.
Yeah, no, I watch all of I consume most of my murder content with my boyfriend, just so that I have like him there and that kind of thing. So yeah, we watched it together.
Is this the one? There's one about like all the guy with like 50 wives. Is that this one or no?
No.
Okay.
It's like the LDS Mormon one. I've been wanting to watch that.
What is it called?
Crap. I'll Google it.
Okay.
I think Desiree was watching that and she was telling me about it.
Well, I just saw a TikTok about it and it showed like his casket and literally like all 50 of his wives around him. And I'm just like,
wow.
We're currently watching Under the Banner of Heaven, which is also like a Mormon murder mystery show. But this one, it was based on a real crime, but someone wrote a fictionalized book about it, and then this TV series is dramatizing the book, and they actually added in a character like Andrew Garfield's character, like the detective, is not a real person, if I remember correctly. And so it's like it's very like it's tangentially similar to what actually happened. It's good. It's really interesting. It's just like I grew up in a very like Mormon community, and so it's definitely bringing back some memories.
I would die for Andrew Garfield. That man.
Yeah. Oh my God. Tick Tick Boom is
all
the time.
Yes. I literally was watching it earlier today.
Yeah. I can't like I'm not quite 30, but like anytime I listen to the opening song, I'm just like, oh God.
Yes.
Where's the worst?
Is this what it's called though? Sam,
it's Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah. It's on Hulu?
Netflix.
Okay, I'll watch it.
So
Garfield one.
Yeah. I live in Utah, so the Mormon LDS culture just fascinates me.
No.
Did you watch the one? I watched one about how like someone said, like someone was selling fake like artifacts and like fake letters from like the history of, I don't know a lot about the Mormon religion, but like what's their Bible called?
The Book of Mormon. Pretty sure.
Is it the Book of Mormon? Oh, okay. I always think that's not it because that's the play, and I'm always just, or the musical, and I'm always, is that actually what it's called? Okay. Yeah, but they said like the guy who like founded the religion like had all these secret letters and it like contradicted everything about the religion, but it turned out like all of that was actually forged and they didn't know it was forged because he like kept on coming up with all these documents. Yeah, it was, I watched that. It was interesting.
Interesting.
I can actually see you guys now, so.
Yay! It only took the whole time.
I felt so bad.
This is nuts. I watched a couple episodes. One literally married her grandmother's husband, like her step grandfather, and she's literally the leader of a church that is a cult. So
Okay, I know not all of us are on TikTok, but did anyone see the drama of like the Mormon TikTok?
Yeah.
Oh, with the swingers.
Yes, I was invested. I was sending Desiree audio voice messages of like the whole story. I was like, this person is this person is this person.
Who was it in Atlanta that was like, is that really a thing? They asked me that.
No, it wasn't me because I was invested in that.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a thing.
Sam, you just know them too?
No, I hear things.
Okay.
Sam has all the tea, all the Utah tea.
It's so funny. Oh yeah, it was just like these super popular like Mormon TikTokers, right? And they're all like couples that hang out together. And apparently a bunch are getting divorces now because like they were
swingers.
Swinging. But they weren't like supposed to go all the way swinging, and someone did, and it was a big scandal.
It was just the way they were describing it because, you know, they're Mormon, but they were doing like, people were just judging them. It was fascinating. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a thing, Sam, specifically in Utah. Swingers are like open relationships because I'm down with an open relationship. Like,
I
need to go.
I am of the opinion that like if you live in a community that like oppresses like you and like what you want and that kind of thing, it breeds kind of untoxic or very toxic relationships, and like you end up with like very weird like things that you're just like, how did murder get into this? Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, that is a thing because like I went to a very small private school. It was a Christian private school, and it was always a joke like the pastor's kid is like the worst kid because they were like the most, you know, secretive or whatever. But yeah.
I
grew up in a cult because there was only like 10 of us in my graduating class.
The teenagers definitely find ways around like not having sex before marriage.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I can't say it just because of channel. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Yep. Oh man.
I can't say it, Jessica. Man.
All right.
What's next month's book, Jessica?
On that note, oh, these are just such funny comments. Okay. We are reading Ransom by Julie Garwood, which I'm super excited about. And make sure I'm going to start earlier than the day of because it's 550 pages. So it is the second book to The Secret. I don't know if you have to read The Secret first.
I haven't read The Secret, so.
Has anybody read Ransom? Have any of you guys?
I've not. I've only read The Secret.
Well, we'll read it for the show, y'all.
So I don't know if you can read it because it's about two characters that were in The Secret.
I think it will be fine.
And it's
I think it's just like a follow-up. I don't really think you have to. Yeah, okay. I read it. Yeah, okay. You don't have to. They just show up in that first book.
Yeah.
All these comments.
Mafia, that's what they used to do in Vegas? You have to DM me the tea because I didn't know this was a thing.
Oh my god.
Okay, we have to keep it PG for Jessica's channel, guys. Come on now.
I forgot that we were on your channel.
As long as we're not going into detail, it's fine.
Real quick before we sign off, if you guys could please let us know who you would like to see because we're going to be picking our 3 more books for the end of the year. So if there's any authors you guys are interested in seeing, let us know.
I have one.
Okay, yeah, Sandy, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's before 2000. It's Yesterday and Forever by Victoria Alexander.
That is pretty book.
Yes, it is. It is very pretty. It's a time travel romance. She's like a modern day woman, and she time travels back in time. And let's see, when was this published? It's bonkers. All of early Victoria Alexander's first books are bonkers.
She has like a Princess and the Pea retelling.
This was 1995, so you can read this.
What is that called?
What is it called?
Yesterday and Forever.
Yesterday and Forever.
Okay, I'll be down to read that.
If you do, have me on. I wanna talk about Victoria Alexander. Like, I feel like she's a historical romance author that not a lot of people have read, but I have like read all of her books because I was obsessed with her in high school. So if you end up choosing this book, have me on.
Okay, yeah, sure. A Robin Hood retelling, is that what that is?
I have so many books by this author.
So do I. I think I have like a night one. Let me see. I have to. My books are
Across
out.
the Moonlit Sea. I do have that.
I have The Pride of Lions, The Blood of Roses. Oh, I have Across the Moonlit Sea, Jessica.
I have that one. I don't have the Robin Hood one, I don't think. Through a Dark Mist.
Okay, I was saying Mary Balog, and everyone said that her books suck. So I can't be responsible for picking a crappy book. Okay, so
yeah, they're very. They take a long time to get through for me because they don't pick up. They're not fast-paced books in the slightest.
So this author, it's not this one, but Across the Moonlit Sea is a pirate one.
Ooh, we haven't read a pirate romance in a long time.
Let me see. Said they just added on Hoopla. Okay. I don't know how this would go over. Whitney, my love.
No,
I want to read that so bad.
I can tell you my rating for that one right now.
1 star.
1 star. No, I think I was generous. I think I gave it 2 stars. Actually, you know what? Pick that book because then I won't read it last minute because I would have already read it.
Hoopla has Across the Moonlit Sea, so we might do that one.
Cat Martin. Am I crazy or did Cat Martin do like a paranormal historical romance? Is it this author? There was someone who did a vampire historical romance, and I want to say Cat Martin, but I feel like that is wrong.
I feel like I've heard of that.
I have
Did we read a Rebecca Brandy one? No.
There's this one.
Oh, that's Teresa Medeiros. Yeah, she's written some.
So I don't know if he's actually a vampire. I think they like played tongue in cheek, and I think it ended up. I can't remember.
Wasn't it like they didn't even say if he was or not? You just don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but
Teresa Medeiros. Okay, it was Teresa Medeiros. Christy said. Never mind.
Yeah. I do really like Cat Martin.
I only have 1 book by her. Oh no, I have 3 books by her. The Fire Inside and Royal's Bride.
I have a million Cat Martin. I don't have either of those.
Of course not.
I have 11 of her books.
I think I have more of her books. I think they're just on the second row that I can see.
I have heard really good things about this one. It is, I believe he's an alcoholic.
Oh, people are going hard for Cat Martin. They want Cat Martin.
Okay.
Have you all done a Rosemary Rogers?
No.
I'm just looking at all my step backs that I've posted, and she has reviews. So.
I'm literally texting them to myself to know which one to remember. Rosemary Rogers has pretty covers. She does have a lot of covers.
So there's also, I'm going to put out another recommendation. This is a Patricia Cabot, who is Meg Cabot's pen name from history. I will talk about Meg Cabot all the time, as Jess will know. This one came out in 1999, and this is it's not a pirate romance. It's like a ship romance. So there's a major age gap between the two of them because I think she's like 16 or 17 and he's like in his 30s, which at the time I was just like, that's kind of icky, but I did really enjoy this. She's like been in love with him for a really long time and she's always wanted to capture her own boat, and she thought that she was losing both because her father was giving away her ship to this captain on his wedding day, and so she's just like, both are going to be gone from me forever. But some mishaps ensue and they end up getting stranded on an island. It's a bonkers book, but it is super great. It is I think it's a little challenge. Oh no, it's available on ebook because they did get re-released, but it's hard to find these original copies because I think they only did a first run of them. But it's really good. I would highly recommend it. And
okay, that sounds good too. Oh man, we have so many good ones to pick.
I know.
Have you guys done a Virginia Henley?
Yes. The Pirate and the Pagan is what we did.
We all did.
Yeah, we all. I don't know why.
So pretty though.
Yeah.
I own like 10 of her books because they're so pretty. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna read anyone.
I did hear like some of her other books are better though. So we did do an Amanda Quick. We did Ravished.
I was on that one.
That one was great.
Mhm.
Alrighty then.
Tons of Rex. We will let you guys know. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow we'll announce our picks. Samantha and I will. Okay, well, that was a really fun chat. That was very interesting. I think I
Yeah.
like it better when none of us agree. So we get to talk about a lot. Yeah. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for your input. I feel like that was one of the like most comments we've gotten in a chat. We had lots.
Very interactive.
Yeah, which was awesome. Okay, thank you everybody for joining. We will see you guys next month. Keep an eye on our Instagram if you're not following yet. Make sure you follow. It's Historical Hellions on Instagram, and we'll announce our new. Oh, we are definitely doing Nora Roberts.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, okay.
I've never read a Nora except for JD Robb. So
Yeah.
I think you talked about that when I
We
last
did.
spoke to you.
Yeah, we did. We've been thinking about it
for a while. Okay, all right. Bye everybody.
Bye. Love you.